with the release of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, bringing us back into the 4th generation, which Pokemon are now better. This being said, I'm TwoHeadedFlounder, and this is my top 10 list for Pokemon that are better the second time around. At number 10, we're going to start off things with a group of Pokemon, these being all of the Moxie users. See, we didn't get this amazing ability until Generation 5, which means these Generation 4 Pokemon didn't have a lot of extra potential that they could have had. Don't get me wrong, a lot of these Pokemon in this category were actually really good Pokemon and still are without Moxie, but Moxie definitely elevated them to a higher capability. So the Pokemon here, they have definitely had a history of being higher tier Pokemon. For the most part, Salamence was banned in 4th gen to Ubers as it was too good. Imagine if it had Moxie, it probably would have dominated Ubers as well. We have Gyarados, who's definitely a consistent OU guy with Dragon Dancing and just knocking things out. And then we come to Heracross and Honchkrow, who are just sitting on the borderline of OU and UU, as they're too good for UU. I think with Moxie, they're definitely going to be too good for UU again. Then we have Pinsir and Mightyena, who both sit down in NU, but I could definitely see Pinsir rising up to UU and being a pretty decent sweeper, and Mightyena might actually make a good sweeper now in NU. The inclusion of Moxie is just going to really escalate these Pokemon even further, and I'm excited to see where we're going to be with this ability. For number 9, we have a Pokemon that you might be shocked to see here, but at the same time, probably not. That's why it's so low on the ranking. We have Nidoking. Yes, it is a staple powerhouse since 5th gen, but in 4th gen, it had really bad abilities in Poison Point and Rivalry. Now, they're not terrible abilities, but obviously what really escalated Nidoking to the forefront was the Sheer Force ability. And it's safe to assume that with this ability, it's going to dominate the OU tiering. Nidoking is one of those Pokemon that was good before, but because of the power creep reversion by going back before a lot of these Pokemon existed, and an insanely strong new ability, other than Blissey, this thing is going to be very hard to counter. So for number 8, I want to go with a Pokemon that is a Gen 1 starter, and that has definitely sat very comfortably in UU since 4th gen, and for good reason. Blastoise is an amazing defensive wall. It has access to Rapid Spin and good support things. It can tank hits, and if you have good wish support for it, it can stay healthy and do its job. Now, since 4th gen, it has gotten more moves, such as Scald, which actually really help with the whole defensive idea, right? You get the burn on something, and all of a sudden, Blastoise is even tankier. But what I want to bring attention to is that Blastoise actually has Shell Smash now, and in the previous generations of games, it was kind of so overclassed by other Pokemon and the power creep that Blastoise really couldn't pull this off too well. But now with the power creep reversion, once again, Blastoise can easily come in on a Fire type. When they swap out, set up a Shell Smash, and with powerful moves like Water Spout and Ice Beam and good move coverage in Steel, Dark, and Fighting, it can do a lot. And honestly, I think Blastoise is going to be a really scary threat and a good sweeper in UU just because of that unpredictability. So basically, everything that we just said about number 8 is going to apply to number 7 here in Cloyster, as it has Shell Smash and has a lot more potential now than it did back then. Because back then, it was an NU Pokemon that was just defensive and a Rapid Spin, and it wasn't really good at that because it was weak to rocks. But now, again, with this power creep regression, and the fact that we have an amazing ability with an amazing setup move, yeah, this thing is going to tear through teams. It gets through Focus Sash and Sturdy. It breaks through Dragonite's newly found ability in Multiscale and allows it to get knocked out. Yeah, Cloyster is going to be a scary Pokemon, and a lot of these scary dragons, again, like Dragonite, Flygon, Salamence, Garchomp, they're really afraid of dealing with Cloyster, so this is going to be a good Pokemon overall. At number 6 we have Togekiss, and since Generation 4 he has become a Fairy type, meaning he has dropped his immunity to Ghost, and gained the immunity to Dragon, while also now 4 times resisting fighting but being weak to poison and steel. I think this is a fair trade-off, as it's a really good counter to fighting types now. And on top of it, because Jirachi in this generation is so poor right now, due to a lack of its move tutor moves, Dokis is the premier para-flincher, and I think it's going to be the most annoying Pokemon to probably go up against. For number 5, we have another group of Pokemon, this time around being the 3 Johto legendary trio Pokemon, the dogs that aren't all dogs, whatever have you, the one that's a cat, but he's in with a wolf and a dog, whatever. Anyway, these guys have gotten a lot of good moves since Gen 4. For instance, Crocoon is now able to run Scald over just Surf, which means that with the additional burn effect, it's tankier and it has more sweeping potential, as well as Entei has received Extreme Speed and Sacred Fire over the years, so not only does it have one of the best priority moves in the game, it has a move that has a 50% chance to burn. So anything that would want to switch in on it might not want to switch in on it because of that 50% chance of burning. And lastly, we come to Riku, who not only is able to Volt Switch now and keep up momentum, but also has Scald, so losing out on Hidden Power isn't too big of a deal, because it's kind of like having Hidden Power Grass for those ground rock types, and it's a pretty good move in general, and on a rain team, Riku seems like it's a pretty big threat. At number 4, we have Jolteon, and I'm a little surprised to be putting him up this far, but I do think Jolteon has a lot going for it. Of course, we do have to mention that he did lose access to Hidden Power Ice, which is really bad. This allowed him to hit those dragon types for 4 times super effective damage, and obviously that's always a great thing that you want to do. But we also have gained a few nice things. Volt Switch allows us, like Riku, to keep momentum up and get out of the active position, but also Shadow Ball no longer is resisted by Steel types, meaning that Jirachi, Metagross, and Bronzong are all actually weak to Shadow Ball. And I'm expecting to see a lot of Specs Jolteon running around because it's one of the fastest Pokemon left over in the game. It's going to hit like a truck, and there's not too much that can safely switch in on it anymore. At number 3, we have one of my personal favorite Pokemon and old mascot to the channel, Feraligatr. Now, Feraligatr, for all you that don't know, has definitely been pushed aside due to the immense power creep with Pokemon like Ultra Beasts and the pseudo-legendaries and legendaries in general. He really can't keep up with a lot of these Pokemon because their base stats and things going for them are just better than Feraligatr's. So unfortunately, he's always dwindled lower tiered, but at the same time, he's always been a higher lower tier because of its amazing access to moves like Dragon Dance and Swords Dance, and he has Aqua Jet for priority, pretty solid move coverage in fighting, ground, water, ice, so he has a lot going for him. But now he has Sheer Force and a lack of these power-cracked Pokemon in the game, meaning it's probably the Gator's time to shine. So for number 2, we actually have a really good Pokemon, but this Pokemon couldn't really ever break it out of UU in 4th gen because of, I would honestly have to go ahead and say Bliss Scarm, one of the most defensive cores in the game. But yeah, this Pokemon is Alakazam, and it's a powerhouse, and it always has been, but even more so now as it's got access to Magic Guard, which is one of the best abilities in the game. It allows you to have a Life Orb but not take the Life Orb recoil, but still gain the benefits from doing the extra damage, and also you can run a Focus Sash variant of this because it won't lose its Sash to entry hazards, which means you have an anti-sweeper built into your team. So there's a lot of different possibilities and really good potential for Alakazam this generation, but what I think really pushes it over the top is that Bliss Scarm, even if it does make a resurgence or whatever, doesn't want to deal with Alakazam because Blissey, after entry hazard damage from Stealth Rock, is a 2-hit KO regardless of being modest or timid, as long as it's a Life Orb variant with Psyshock. And you don't really necessarily want to switch into Skarmory either, because it could potentially carry Charge Beam as an attack, which is a 2-hit KO and can give Alakazam a special attack boost, and as well as Focus Blast, just hitting it very, very hard. Skarmory also doesn't even threaten a KO unless you're at half health, at which point, yes, it does, but with not being able to take entry hazard damage, it's going to be hard getting a very fast, hard-hitting Pokemon like Alakazam down low. So I think Alakazam is probably going to be one of the most dominant Pokemon for sure. Finally, we get to number 1, and I think it's a Pokemon no one is going to be expecting to see here. Because everyone will tell you not to use this Pokemon because this Pokemon isn't as good as it used to be, and a lot of other things, and power creep has made this Pokemon just so unusable. But here's the thing, we're in the regression of power creep going back in time, so there is a lot less out there that threatens KOs on this guy, and he is a fairly bulky guy as his stats are pretty well rounded across the board. Of course, we're talking about Abomasnow. So what's so good about Abomasnow? Well, again, the lack of power creep means that it's actually tanky again, and it actually has some pretty decent typing, as it threatens water types and it threatens dragons, which is good because if you bring in an ice type on a dragon, they'll usually switch out into maybe their water type to take the hit. Well, if they go out to their water type, then they're going to have to deal with the grass type as well, so that really didn't accomplish much. And the thing is, Abomasnow isn't number 1 on my list because it's better than all the other Pokemon here, because that is just absurdly, obviously wrong. All the other Pokemon on this tier list are much better than Abomasnow, but this is a Pokemon people are going to sleep on because they don't think it's good and they're not going to know how to deal with it. And once it's set up, it is in there and it's annoying, and it's going to be making everything in your life a lot harder. Think about how good those dragon types are. Most of them are 4 times weak to ice. Having priority in Ice Shard is amazing. Being able to spam Blizzard is just awesome. Again, I've already mentioned it. You have a dragon type in, you're going to go into the grass type to take the blizzard, and then all of a sudden you're hit with a wood hammer or a giga drain, and it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna be hard to predict what these guys are gonna do. Am I gonna send in a special wall to deal with it to be hit by a physical attacking move, or what is gonna happen? And Aurora Veil just makes it even bulkier. It makes everything bulkier. You put a light clay on it, and then that Aurora Veil lasts 8 turns. Why doesn't Light Screen and Reflect ever work out well in singles? Well, because you got to use one in one turn, and then you got to use one in the next turn, and then by the time you do anything, you've already lost 3 to 4 turns of it, and there's not much left of it. But all you have to do here is click one button, set it up, swap out. You got 6 more turns of it, maybe set up in their face, just sweep them, whatever have you. He's an amazing support guy, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff happen because of Abomasnow. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, you can leave a like, comment, or subscribe, as it helps out the channel a lot, and it will help you keep up to date with my future content. We're going to be popping out a little bit more of these top 10s for the new game, maybe playing a little bit of it on Showdown, as of course playing on the actual game itself is probably not doable because of this 20-minute battle timer. But that being said, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.